This is what 3 years of the no-dig method did to my soil. A fork that stops dead 2 inches down, gray clay that smells of a stagnant pond, and bindweed running through every single bed like wire. And 3 years ago, I was promised the exact opposite, a weed-free utopia that looked after itself. I went all in on no-dig. No spade, no fork, no turning the soil, just compost on the surface, cardboard over the weeds, and the promise that nature would do the rest. And for one glorious season, it was everything they said it would be. Then it quietly fell apart. So today I'm going to do something you don't see much on gardening channels. I'm going to tell you, plainly and with nothing hidden, why the no-dig method failed on my heavy clay allotment, what those 3 years actually cost me, and the uncomfortable truth nobody mentions when they're selling you the dream of a maintenance-free plot. And let me be completely clear before the comments start. This is not no-dig bashing. Done properly, on the right soil, it is genuinely brilliant, and I'll defend it to anyone. But the right soil is the part they quietly leave out. And if your plot is heavy clay riddled with perennial weeds, the way mine was, what you're about to see might just save you 3 years you will never get back. So stay with me, because the exact moment it all went wrong is the one nobody warns you about. Let me take you right back to year 1, because this is where the trap is set. I'd taken on a rough, weedy plot, and instead of digging it over the hard, old-fashioned way, I smothered the whole thing in cardboard and piled 15 centimeters of lovely bought-in compost straight on top. And it looked magnificent. The lush, weed-free surface of that first season is exactly what sells the method, and it sells it brilliantly, because for 12 solid months, it is genuinely, honestly beautiful. Courgettes tumbling over the edges of the beds, lettuce like a thick green carpet, not a weed in sight. I was a convert. I told everyone who'd listen. And here's a quiet little cost nobody ever tallies up. All that bought-in compost and all that cardboard to start a no-dig bed in the first place isn't free either. I'd already spent a fair bit just laying the thing down, entirely on the promise that I would never have to spend that kind of effort or money again. What I did not understand was that I wasn't actually growing in my soil at all. I was growing in a shallow tray of imported compost sitting on top of it, and underneath that gorgeous brown blanket, my real soil hadn't changed one single bit. Worse, the promise of a garden that looks after itself led me straight into a dangerous habit. I stopped intervening. I didn't dig, I didn't check the structure underneath, I didn't deal with what was lurking below, because I'd been told, again and again, that the soil life would quietly sort all of that out for me. That one belief, that I could step right back and let the plot run itself, is the single most expensive mistake I have ever made on this allotment. Then came year 2, and the honeymoon ended without any ceremony at all. The very first sign was the crops themselves. Plants that had romped away the season before were suddenly just sitting there, small, pale, sulking, going nowhere. My tomatoes stalled at half their proper height, leaves yellowing from the bottom up, and no amount of feeding seemed to touch it. That stunted, stalled growth was the soil sending me a message I was frankly too pleased with myself to read. The rich compost layer I'd started with had been completely mined out by that first triumphant season, and now the roots were being asked to push down into whatever was actually underneath. And that, right there, is where the real story of my plot begins. Because underneath the compost was clay. Heavy, cold, unforgiving, builder's rubble clay. Let me talk about that clay properly, because it is the absolute heart of why no-dig and my particular plot were never going to get along. My subsoil is dense, compacted clay, the sort you could genuinely throw on a wheel and turn into a pot. Now, the whole premise of no-dig is that you never disturb the soil, and that over many years the worms and the roots and the microbes gradually open it all up from below. And on a soil that's already half decent, that genuinely, beautifully works. But on heavy clay that's been compacted hard for years, you are asking a handful of worms to do, slowly, gently, and politely, a job that honestly needed a fork and some real sweat first. The compaction pan under my beds was like a sheet of concrete. Water simply could not drain down through it, and roots simply could not break into it. So everything my plants were crying out for, air, drainage, somewhere deep to root, was sealed off just a few centimeters down, and no amount of compost on the surface was ever going to unlock it. I had effectively built a beautiful raised bed on top of a car park. And clay holds water like a bath. Through the long, wet British winter, those beds sat sodden for months on end, the surface squelching underfoot every single time I so much as looked at them. I kept telling myself the mulch was protecting the soil. In truth, it was acting like a lid clamped on a saucepan, holding all that winter wet in, keeping the cold locked down, and stopping the one thing my soil was crying out for, which was simply to drain, to dry out a little, and to breathe. And this is where it turned genuinely nasty. When clay can't drain, and you keep a thick, moisture-holding mulch sitting on top of it all year round, the water has absolutely nowhere to go. So it just sits there. And waterlogged soil with no air left in it goes anaerobic, and I mean that word literally. When I finally dug down, out of sheer frustration, the soil under my mulch was gray, slick, and blue-tinged, and it stank, that unmistakable rotten egg, stagnant pond smell of a soil that has run completely out of oxygen. That smell is the sound of all the good aerobic life, the very worms and beneficial fungi and bacteria you're trying so hard to encourage, suffocating and dying off. The exact method I had chosen to build me healthy living soil had, on my particular waterlogged plot, helped create a cold, sour, airless mess. Not because no dig is wrong, but because I had trapped water on top of clay that couldn't drain, and then cheerfully walked away and let it fester for the best part of 2 years. And the truly maddening thing is that every textbook symptom was sitting there in plain sight, the water standing on the surface long after the rain had stopped, the moss creeping in across the beds, the sharp, sour smell on the first warm day of spring. I simply didn't want to read them, because reading them honestly meant admitting that the method I'd championed to everyone who'd listen wasn't working for me. And then, of course, there were the weeds. If the cardboard had one job in life, it was to smother the weeds. And against the annuals, fair enough, it did exactly that. But my plot never had a polite little annual weed problem. My plot had bindweed. And bindweed, along with couch grass and the odd determined bramble, does not grow from a seed you can simply smother. It grows from a brittle white root that can run a full meter deep and shatters into a dozen brand new plants if you so much as look at it the wrong way. Cardboard means absolutely nothing to bindweed. It threads straight up through the layers, finds the light, and then, and this is the truly cruel part, it positively loves the soft, rich, undug mulch I had so kindly laid down for it. I had built the stuff a luxury hotel. By year 3, I was pulling bindweed out of every single bed, every single week, and for every meter I pulled out, another 3 were running away unseen beneath the cardboard, quietly knitting my entire plot together underground. One bed I cleared completely in spring was a solid white mat of root again by midsummer, as though I had never so much as touched it. You cannot mulch your way out of a deep perennial root. The only thing that genuinely shifts it is getting down there and physically taking it out, by hand, which is, of course, the precise thing No Dig had promised I would never have to do. So let's add all this up honestly, because this channel is about what your plot is actually worth in the end. 3 years. 3 full seasons of half crops, stunted plants, and beds I was fighting with rather than harvesting from. I reckon I lost the best part of 100 to 150 pounds of produce a year just to poor growth, and that's before the compost even comes into it. I'd been buying in bulk compost every single spring to top up beds that were quietly failing for reasons no amount of compost could ever fix. Call it another 60, 80 pounds a year, poured straight onto the problem. Now these are rough, honest figures, not a balance sheet. Every plot and every soil is genuinely different, and your numbers won't be mine, but the shape of it is brutally, painfully clear. I spent 3 years and several hundred pounds slowly making a clay pan worse, all while being assured I was doing the kindest possible thing for my soil. If you take just one number away from this whole video, take that one. The so-called maintenance-free plot cost me far more than any amount of honest digging ever would have. And that's the part that really stings, because I didn't dodge the work to save myself the effort. I dodged it because I'd been told, hand on heart, that dodging it was the kindest thing I could possibly do for my soil. So what am I actually doing about all this for 2026? And this is the part where I genuinely want to be fair to no dig, because the answer is absolutely not to throw the whole thing in the bin. This winter, for the first time in 3 years, I am getting the fork out. I'm breaking that compaction pan, double digging the very worst beds, and broad forking the rest, opening that clay right up and working in grit and coarse organic matter so that water can finally move and roots can finally breathe. I'm digging the bindweed out by hand, root by miserable white root, as far down as I can possibly chase it. And where the drainage is frankly hopeless, I'm building proper raised beds to lift the growing soil clear of that cold, wet, sulking clay. None of this is glamorous, and none of it is what the no-dig dream is busy selling you, but it is the one honest season of spade work that should have come first, 3 years ago, before a single sheet of cardboard ever went down. And then, only then, once the structure is genuinely properly fixed, I will happily go straight back to feeding from the top and not digging at all. Because here's the real truth they don't ever sell you. No dig is not a clever way to skip the hard work on a difficult plot. It is a brilliant way to maintain a soil that is already in good heart. It is a maintenance method dressed up and sold as a miracle cure, and if you start out, as I did, on compacted clay full of perennial weeds, you have to earn the right to go no dig first. One honest season of proper graft to fix the foundations, and then, and only then, the method finally gets to do the lovely thing it genuinely does best. So there's my 3 years, laid right out, with nothing hidden and nothing dressed up. If you happen to be growing on lovely free-draining loam, on clean ground, then please, ignore every bit of my bad luck, go no dig, and enjoy every single minute of it. But if you're standing on heavy clay, staring at bindweed, and somebody has just promised you a weed-free utopia for no effort whatsoever, then I gently ask you to be brutally honest about your foundations before you cover them up forever. Fix the structure first. Get the perennial roots out first. Earn your no dig. I know that isn't what most people want to hear. Everyone wants the shortcut, and believe me, I wanted it more than anyone. But the soil doesn't care in the slightest what we want. It only ever responds to what we actually give it. Do exactly that, and you really will get the beautiful, low-effort plot they promised you, just 2 or 3 years sooner than I ever managed it. And if this has saved you from a mistake I genuinely, dearly wish somebody had saved me from, then do me a favor and hit subscribe. I put out one honest allotment video every single morning, and the very next one is the sequel to this. Exactly how I'm rebuilding these ruined clay beds this winter, step by step, so that they finally, properly drain. So be honest about your soil, get the boring groundwork done first, and whatever you do, don't let one beautiful first year fool you the way it so completely fooled me. This is David's Capital Plot. Grow your capital. I'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome to the Capital Plot.